European Member of Parliament says 15-minute cities mean total impoverishment and enslavement of all people. So now we have the European Parliament against the WEF. A security camera sent on the wall of King's Cross, London. Also, we have cameras. Here, this is the flag of China, obviously, China surveillance. MEP Christine Anderson on new housing model being promoted in Europe. This is translated from a Greek article for you. May 5th, Jan Jekielek and Naveen Anthrapouli. Christine Anderson, a member of the European Parliament, believes that the pandemic passports and QR codes widely disseminated during the pandemic were test runs towards the implementation of 15-minute cities aimed at tighter government control of people. A 15-minute city is a neighborhood where a resident can reach everything they need, such as a grocery store, a doctor, etc., within a 15-minute walk. Walk, not driving. You have to walk everywhere. Anderson says such cities are the beginning of tighter government control of people. The government can exercise control by deciding that you are no longer allowed to leave the immediate 15-minute area. She doesn't need to be fenced off or anything like that. It would be done through a digital identity, she said in the interview with the American Thought Leaders program published in April 25th. And now if you imagine another store and it does not happen to be in your neighborhood, guess what? You won't go to this store anymore. Like I said, she says absolute control is what we're talking about. Legislation to create 15-minute cities is being promoted in Europe. According to Anderson, the digital green certificate, the COVID passport, the pass introduced during the pandemic was just a trial run designed to get people used to generating a QR code and the associated requirements. And now you're getting hit with these 15-minute cities, he said. Make no mistake, this is not about your convenience. It's not like they want you to be able to have all these places you need to go to close to you, nor is it about saving the planet. With the 15-minute cities, they should have those before they lock you out, and that's what we were talking about here. In Great Britain, some counties have already passed legislation. They will be able to impose a climate lockout. This is the next step. This is what we're talking about. To do that, they're going to have these 15-minute cities. The next step, Anderson says, will involve confining people to their sites, allowing them to leave the site only 2 or 3 times a year. However, the rich will be able to escape these rules as they will be able to buy exit permits from poorer sections, he said. Poorer people will stay in these 15-minute neighborhoods, while the more affluent will be able to go wherever they want. That's exactly what we're talking about. The article featured on the World Economic Forum WF website in March 2022 called the idea of 15-minute cities much more than a fad and a consequence of the current times, specifically the pandemic. With COVID-19 and its variants keeping everyone at home or close to home than usual, closer than usual, the 15-minute city has gone from a nice to have to a rallying cry, he argued. And as climate change and global conflict inflict shocks and stresses on faster timescales and with increasing severity, the 15-minute city will become even more critical. Digital tyranny. Anderson pointed out that Chinese communist-style social credit systems are already being tested in Europe. There are already pilot programs underway in Bologna, Italy. There it's called the Bologna Wallet, and in Vienna it's called the Vienna Token. For now, it's voluntary and pretty much just baiting people. If you do this, you get some tickets for a little less money to go to the theater voluntarily once again. It's the first step, he said. But soon the time will come when you have no choice. You must have this digital green certificate with this QR code, and then they will tell you where you can go, what you can do, and what you can't do. Anderson criticized the Line project under construction in Saudi Arabia. That's that 1-mile building, remember? A structure 200 kilometers long, 200 kilometers wide, and 500 meters high. The Line is expected to house up to 9 million people. He said, if I wanted to gain complete control over people, that's where I would house them and make them eat 3 meals a day. Guess what? happens if you don't do as you're told, they'll probably cancel those meals. It's so easy. And that's what we're talking about. When you really put it all together, there's no other way to really put it. It's going to be a complete impoverishment and enslavement of all people. I state it so plainly because it seems so, and it seems so to me. The idea of 15-minute cities is sparking heated debates on social media. When documentary filmmaker Carla Francone published a thread in February about the benefits of such cities, she soon attracted criticism. One person suggested that while 15-minute cities sound great in theory, they'll become a problem when the government tries to enforce them. Another pointed out that if the 15-minute city becomes a reality, Francone would have to get a special permit to visit her father if he lived 30 minutes away. Obviously, we all have relatives, children, grandchildren living more than 15 minutes walk from us. Now, one day, Anderson said, you'll be stuck in the 15-minute city waiting for a drone to deliver your sweet and sour buzzes and trying to remember what it was like to be on vacation. Author Lisa Keeble wrote in April 22nd tweet, "You'll wonder, when did it all go wrong? And when you applauded the locks and the masks." Government terrorism? Anderson also highlighted the risk-taking that governments used to control people during the pandemic. And he said in Germany there was a manual on an outline of how to get people to do what the government wanted them to do in order to comply with these restrictions. And there they specifically described it. Even though children are not in any danger from this COVID, we have to make them afraid. If they catch it and then they infect their grandparents, they're responsible for ending their grandparents. And this is the kind of thinking that was going on in the governments. A kind of pandemic that has been completely blown out of proportion. For what reason? So that pharmaceutical companies can make billions of dollars. Jekielek noted that there is indisputable evidence, quote unquote, that the UK government was involved in sowing fear among its population regarding the pandemic and had a specific strategy to do so. Similar things happen in other countries, including the United States, he pointed out. And absolutely, when asked if this was the result of some sort of global coordination, Anderson replied, absolutely. That's actually the scariest part of this whole story. If it was just 2 or 3 countries playing the rogue role, we would hope that another country would step in and stop it, he said. He said they were on the same wavelength as all of that. They were literally reading from the same script, repeating the same lies. Build again better, safer, and more efficient. Every Western democracy did more or less the same thing. Networking. And this I've translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.